Alright, so let's say that you have something with some quadratics in it, and they asked you to solve it. Let's say that it looks something like this. X minus 5 squared equals 2x squared minus 4x or plus 33. Yeah, so hopefully as you look at it, you realize you got some work to do, and maybe a feeling of dread fills you up because you gotta do the work out. The first step that we need to do anytime we need to solve for a quadratic equation is we need to get everything all on one side. And what I would suggest first is we need to deal with this squaring thing. If you've looked at some other videos and done some algebra, you know that I like to do the boxing out. So let's just take a little space here and box out our x minus 5. If you're not sure about boxing, then I want you to go back and look at that video because I'm not going to talk about it in depth right here. Alright, so boxing looks like this: x times x, negative 5x, positive 25. And so when we square this sucker out, we're going to get x squared minus 10x plus 25. So now I'm going to rewrite our original equation, but I'm going to have this on my left-hand side. Now I have no parentheses, which is pretty good. Negative 10x plus 25, and that's going to equal 2x squared minus 4x plus 33. So what we're going to do now is bring over all the terms from the left to the right-hand side, and we're going to combine like terms as we do that. After that, we're going to kind of analyze what we have and see whether we want to factor, or if something's not factorable, we'll have to use the quadratic formula. Alright, so I'm going to minus an x squared, and minus that from the appropriate side, and maybe at this point you guys are advanced enough to know that you can do this in a couple steps. So I'll lump the next ones together. We're going to add a 10x, and we're going to minus a 25, which means we're going to add a 10x and minus a 25. So now we have 0 equals x squared, negative 4 plus 10 gives us 6x. 33 minus 25 will give us 8. Cool. So this ugly looking original equation that they gave us up here is now something that is a lot more simpler, and it's actually doable. So I say that we start by looking to see if we can factor this. Let me slide this sucker up. What times what gives us 8? We have 8 and 1 and 4 and 2, and look at that, 4 and 2 will add to give us 6. So 0 equals x. We say we're going to use the 4 and the 2, and they both need to be positive because we have a positive 6. And then if you followed any of the other videos or worked through this, this is called factored form, and all you need to do is set each parentheses equal to 0 and then solve it for x, and those are your solutions. So x is going to equal negative 2, or x is going to equal negative 4. So those are your solutions, and express them in a formal way. You put them in the swirly brackets, not parentheses. Parentheses means you have an ordered pair. This means you have solutions or roots. Alright, let's try another one. Let's slide. All that stuff goes up. Okay, how about, we'll use v this time. V plus 5 squared equals 2v squared plus 14v plus 20. So we're going to take care of this first. So I will box it out, I guess. Some of you guys might be able to, you might be boxing things so much that you don't need to write it out anymore. But since this is instructional, I will write it out so that there's a little bit of an intermediate step. So when I box, I get this, which turns out to be v squared plus 10v plus 25. Alright, so we're going to put that on the left-hand side of our equation. V squared plus 10v plus 25 will equal 2v squared plus 14v plus 20. So we need to get everything from the left and bring it to the right. So we're minusing a v squared, we're minusing a 10v, and we're minusing a 25. Minusing a v squared, minusing a 10v, minusing a 25. So 0 equals 2 minus 1 is 1. 14 minus 10 is 4. 20 minus 25 is negative 5. Cool. I think that we're going to be able to factor this guy. So 0 equals, let's set up our parentheses. What times what gives us 5? Just 5 and 1. And they do subtract to give us 4. The 4 is positive, so our 5 needs to be positive, and our 1 needs to be negative. And then we just set each of these equal to 0. When we do 0 minus 5, one of our answers is negative 5 for v. Take the other parentheses, set it equal to 0. To get rid of the 1, we're going to add it. So v equals 1. So our answers are 1 and negative 5. There you go. Alright, let's do one more. I want you to copy down the problem. Do the work in your notebook. You got a couple examples to refer back to. Hopefully you've been taking notes all along. And when you get an answer, I want you to hit the play button and see if you get the same thing that I got. Alright, let's do 2x squared minus 4x plus 34 equals x plus 3 squared. Alright, hit that pause button, follow the manipulations we did before, and check your answer afterwards. Okay, I'm going to combine a couple steps. Since this is our last example, this is going to turn out, when I box out the x plus 3, I'm going to get x squared plus 6x plus 9. And now I'm going to bring all this stuff over to the other side. And I'm going to do that all in one step also. Minus x squared here. I need to minus a 6x and minus a 9. So all this cancels, giving me 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 4 minus 6 is going to give me negative 10. And 34 minus 9 is going to give me 25. Now, here's one of those times where you are good at patterns. You might recognize this as a pattern. It's called a perfect square trinomial. If you haven't got to that point, that's okay, but if you did recognize it, I'll put down here what the answer is going to be, and then I'll walk it through the most traditional way. We'll end up with x minus 5 squared, but when we go to do the normal factoring, if you're not good at patterns, that's fine. What we're going to do is factor this out and say what times what gives us 25. It needs to add, and we need it to be a negative 10, so these are minuses, and that's exactly what we got here. Now to find the roots, x minus 5 equals 0. I'm outside, sorry, there's a neighbor doing a lot of noise, and the train is going by, so if it's noisy, I apologize. X equals 5, and this goes for both parentheses. We would call this a double root. And it means that this is, if you're into the parabolas and have studied quadratics a little bit, it just means that the vertex of the parabola is going to come down and just kiss that right at 5. And that's your one root for that parabola. Alright, I hope you got this right. If there was something that seemed a little flaky to you or doesn't make sense, come find me and I'll explain it. Thanks.